Hi, I'm Kylie, just another Army vet. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm finishing my reaction to the BeerBiceps podcast. Marcos, Vijaypal Rawat, Mumbai attacks, sea encounters, underwater bombs, the Ranveer show, episode 233. Let's get to it.
While I have countless more questions, there's some questions I'm saving for our Hindi episode as well.
Okay.
But before we begin that one, sir, I have one last phase of this particular episode,
Okay.
which is related to 2611.
Okay.
It's a
Mumbai
topic
attack.
that the English audiences have wondered more about since we
Yeah.
did an episode with D. Shivanandan,
Yeah.
who was actually the strategist post 2611. He made Mumbai a safer place. Now, you were involved in that operation in some capacity while it was happening. Are you comfortable narrating aspects of it through your own?
That I can do because
Perspective.
it's an operation which is open domain, so I can actually do. On in October, 20th October, we came to Bombay. I got a prestigious appointment as a directing staff in Naval War College. Now, directing staff is like you are a teacher in a war college, and the Naval War College there are captains who are captain means naval captains equal to army colonels. They're all about 42, 43 years old guys, bubbling with energy and intelligence level is high, and you are now trying to manage them as an instructor. So it's a prestigious appointment. And co-located to our war college was the biggest Marine Commando unit in the Indian Navy. So next month, November, this thing happened. So when what happens, any Marine Commando unit, any armed force unit has got something called a QRT, Quick Reaction Team, which is standby. Marine Commandos have got a few elements called the Prahars, which are always ready to move in half an hour to meet any contingency.
American military calls that QRF, or Quick Reaction Force.
So they had about a couple of people who are ready at any point in time. That day on 26th, 28th was November was a birthday. On 26th, we suddenly switched on the TV at around 9 o'clock. We found there was something happening in Taj, and something happened in Sion Hospital and also in the VT station. VT station, I think, yeah, VT station. So people thought it could be a gang war or some kind of things. But later on, as things unfolded, they realized that it is a bit more than the gang war.
What was your first gut feeling?
My gut feeling was that we should be ready and deploy. At around 11:30 or 12, we were told that now guys were there. They all guys came to the unit, and surprisingly, some retired Marine Commando sailors who also stay in the same area. They all reported to the unit, sir, now we've just been out for 1 year. We are still in date. We can do firing and all. If there is a requirement, we are available. Civilians, ex-Marine Commando civilians. Imagine the josh and the enthusiasm. Anyway, we wouldn't have taken them, but they were there. Then our teams were mobilized without knowing head and tail of what is happening. At around 12:30 at night, they reached Mumbai and Taj. There was a lot of chaos there. And the team were told to enter. So teams entered. They entered, and the ground floor of the Taj was all chaos, mayhem, a lot of people dead. All those people you see in page 3 and all, those kind of people lying dead. Some people actually very seriously injured and all. So it startles people, young Marcos who have never been to a 5-star, because you can't afford to go to a 5-star like this. You don't even know the layout of the place. You don't know anything about the place. You don't even know what the situation. How is the situation evolving? But you just went because you were told to go, because it became like a situation critical. So you have to do something. The other people are not coming inside because obviously, they're not trained for it. So our guys went inside, and they started clearing each and every room. So they were able to save a lot of people and escort them back. The people who were dead were lying there because there's no point, because you can actually, you have to see who's the people who can be actually, retrieved and they can still live.
What he just said was a major undertaking. I'm not sure how many rooms the Taj Hotel has in Mumbai. I couldn't imagine having to systematically clear every single one of those rooms, whether it was the Marcos or what was major, an NSG, but I couldn't imagine it.
And like that they went. I think in third or fourth floor at night, they were trying to. Then the good part is the Taj hotel staff was very brave. They were accompanying the Marine Commando units, and later on also the NSG. They were very helpful. They were not scared, but they knew the layout. So they were with these teams. So they were told that in the conference room there is some report of some terrorist. And so these guys went, and Outside there was light, inside was dark. So they opened the door. The moment you opened the door, the light from outside went inside. So, unknowingly to them, there were 3 or 4 terrorists inside the room. They had done killing initially. Thereafter, they were trying to recuperate before they start the next phase of operation. So they suddenly found somebody coming inside, and the moment one of my the commando sailor went inside, and there's a drill by which you go inside. So we follow a buddy pair. So one guy went inside, second guy was outside, and the other 5-6 people are lined up behind. He heard a cocking of AK-47, and he realized that now they are under grief because there is somebody who's cocking AK-47. We were using MP5s. So there's a distinct noise of MP5 cocking and AK-47 cocking. And then there was a volley of fire from the other side. And this guy got hit somewhere in his this part and also in his clavicle. Fortunately, not fatal. And he just slumped down. When that happened, the other guys told not to come inside the room because then it would have been a problem because now they are in an advantageous position. They can see because there's light behind you and they can actually take a pot shot. So they all went out. This guy was lying down. He took out a grenade and chucked a grenade at the terrorist. And the grenade did not burst. Now, this hotel staff told that this is the only exit from this room. So these guys actually laid a position themselves so that when the terrorists come out of the room, they will be shot. But they did not know, and also the staff did not know that there's another exit from behind. Wow. So those 3-4 terrorists were there. And see, when the terrorist fired, this guy also got hit, he also fired. And then the second buddy who's there, he also fired. So, but these are all aimless firing, because at night you can't see anything. And it was aimless. And now you see, you only wear a night sight when you're in a dark atmosphere. If you are working in a hotel where the lights are on, you can't wear a night sight because it will actually, the image intensified tube of the night sight will get spoiled. Your eyes will also get damaged. So they were not wearing a night sight at that point in time as they entered the room. So this guy fell down and everyone fired. They also fired. There was a volley of fire. Then there was firing stopped. These guys jumped out and went somewhere else. Then one of the guys came and chucked even the terrorists, they chucked a Chinese grenade and that also didn't burst. Now imagine if the grenade had burst, then all the terrorists would have been dead, but this guy also would have been dead. But in the heat of the moment, it happened. Then he was pulled out. Now what has happened is that the terrorists encountered a special force, which they were not expecting. Because as things turned out later on, extensive planning was done by Mr. Headley and all those people. They would have done the recce of the entire area. They would have known that energy actually is in Manesar, Delhi. It will take X amount of time for them to come to Bombay and Bombay traffic and all those things. And, is priority given or not? All these are issues which are linked up issues. So they would have easily got a breather of 4 to 5 hours from the time they actually start doing the killing till the time the terrorists can actually, the force can be brought to bear upon them. That was maybe in their mind. And secondly, this was not an anti-terror. It was not a hostage situation. It was like a war because they had come to kill only. They knew that they'll perish. So they were just killing left, right and center. But when the Marcos entered and the firefight took place, that was the first firefight. So these guys jumped out. The guy who was hurt, he left his weapon in his pack and jumped out. So this pack and weapon was recovered. Then they realized that it is not gang warfare any longer. It is actually a terrorist operation. And then they read the entire thing, it is Pakistani things. So then the situation totally changed. Now, meanwhile, the other reinforcement of Marine Commandos came from the unit. And they became, so 4 Prahas means 32 people entered Taj and 16 people entered Trident also, overall Trident. And then they started searching room to room. The terrorists, who were earlier the hunters, became the hunted. So almost the killing stopped. Now they were running for their life. Because they realized that now they do not know how many people. The moment you have a firefight with a force with wearing black dress and all these helmets and all, they would have seen it. They would realize that now they are cornered. And it is not 1, 2, it may be 30, 40, 100 for all you know. So then they started running. Thereafter, it is recorded that the killing actually stopped. So the Marine Commandos' intervention at that point in time helped in disrupting the timelines, what they would have set in for themselves. And like that, they operated till this encounter took place at 3, 4 in the morning. Means on 27th early morning. Then they continued working and by 9:30, 10, they had almost cleared, almost everyone was cleared. They had rescued about 160 odd people. The Marine Commando with a small force of about 16 or 32 had rescued about 150 and 160 people. And when I say rescue, they were helped by the staff of the Taj, and I think kudos to the staff of the Taj Hotel. They were
So the legendary Tata is the owner of that hotel. He did employ a really good staff, and as you can see, they are heroes for helping out in this operation. And I think the day of the attack, Tata himself did actually go to the hotel to try to assist and see what he could do to help. I think that says a lot about Tata and the staff as well.
They were very brave, and they all got them out. Then next day morning, the NSG came and see NSG. This is the core area of the NSG. So this kind of operation is the core area of the NSG. And just a word about NSG. NSG stands for National Security Guards. So they come under Ministry of Home Affairs. NSG has got basically two elements, and one is the Special Rangers Group, and one is the Special Action Group. So Special Rangers Group comprises of people from the paramilitary forces, and they look after a lot of other things, including the VIP security they look after. But the core fighting is done by the Special Action Group, which is purely 100% armed forces people. And they do a training of 3-4 months. It's a very rigorous training. And then they are on deputation for 3 to 4 years when they do this anti-terrorist operation and the hijacking operations. So there are two elements within the Special Action Group. It is called SAG 51, SAG 51, which is anti-terrorist operations, and SAG 52, which is anti-hijacking operations. The anti-hijacking operation is one of the most complicated operations amongst all special operations. So the force which came there was from SAG 51. They came and they landed early in the morning. Then by BST buses, they came to the area where the event was happening. And thereafter, they pressed into operation. They took about 1-2 hours for getting the general information about and the orientation from the Marine Commandos who would spend the whole night there. And for some time, even the Marine Commandos, along with the security staff of the hotel, they helped them out. And once the NSG is a very trained force. Is one of the best trained force we have in our country or maybe in the world. And they did the operation in quick time.
Did you end up going to the locations of the incidents after it happened?
After it happened, once I went and visited. But see, what happened that the role of the Marine Commandos was not known to many people. So when Barack Obama, he came to India, following this thing, I think next day he came, and because he gets a huge security entourage from his own country, and he also gets his own aircraft as well as also the helicopter called the Marine One. So he landed in Sar, and
before the President of the United States even sets foot anywhere, there's a huge barrage of Secret Service and other people that are planning out his trip. They have an advance party go in a C-130 or some big military aircraft, and they have all their equipment, and they go scope out the location, and they do all kinds of recon just to make sure that things are safe for the president and his family if needed.
The government of India didn't allow them to use weapons. So government of India said, we will give you all support, any other forces can come. They said, we want only Marine Commandos. So you will be surprised to know that the only force selected in India by the government of India and by the US was Marine Commando. They had so much of faith after this operation because they knew reality. And so you have pictures of, the helicopter landing in one of the naval bases, which is very close to, inside Colaba. Marine One came and Barack Obama coming out, and all in the very inner security circle, the Marine Commandos. It is something which doesn't happen, because when the US president is there, for about 2-3 kilometers, the whole area is sanitized. They don't find any other person. Yeah. But as an exception, they allowed and agreed to have Marine Commandos as the inner security cordon, which is a great thing. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, then they went to Taj, and the First Lady, Michelle Obama, she wanted to meet a couple of people who participated in the operation, and amongst the naval people, she wanted to meet the Marine Commandos. So what I'm trying to say is that...
How long after the attack did President Obama visit? And did he visit because they were attacked, or is Obama already planning on traveling to India and then this attack happened, so he made a pit stop there? If someone wants to clarify that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
These people just don't call at people at random. They do a lot of thorough research. So they would have got to know exactly who are the people. See, now, I'm not saying that the Marine Commandos, I would say we because I'm part of the Marine Commandos. I'm not saying that I was the one who did the operation and nobody gave us the accolades. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's a teamwork and a lot of people work together. But how much people worked, who recognized it, that is an issue here. The people who have got keen eye and who are initiated to special operations will actually know. And secondly, like a heart attack or any other medical calamity, emergency, there is something called the golden period. So like if you got a heart issue, within 1-2 hours, if you're able to take a person to the hospital and under effective medical care, you can save the person. Same thing happens in terrorist operations also.
The golden hour is also what you live by on the battlefield. If someone is injured, you have an hour to get the patient from point of injury to a higher level of care, and then you have a much higher success rate in actually saving your life.
The first 2-3 hours are very crucial. If you are able to, at that 2-3 hours, if you are able to enter and encounter the force, the terrorists, then they become the defensive. Then the gravity of the damage is limited and restrained.
Yeah.
So that is the job I think the Marine Commandos did. Of course, there are other people who also worked alongside. There were anti-terrorist squad of the Mumbai police also came, but then they were not equipped for this kind of heavy duty operation. So they accompanied thereafter, they pulled out, and the staff of the Taj was always there. Then the army was gotten out, and later on the NSG came, and NSG are masters in this.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job.
Yeah. So from an international perspective, a lot of people all over the world know about Navy SEALs just because of how much Navy SEALs are out there. And I'm talking about the American version of Marine Commandos. I think it's about time the world gets to know about the greatness of Indian Marine Commandos or the Marcos. And that's a huge reason for us even wanting to do this particular episode.
For that, I'm very thankful to you, because by this medium, we got a huge reach, 4-5 million people. And I'm sure that people will now get to know a wee bit more about what Navy is all about and what Marine Commando is all about.
Yes, sir. And it's just the beginning, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel generally the Indian population is very inclined towards learning about the armed forces, but we've not got a correct medium.
Okay.
So through this series we've done on military podcast, I've got to learn so much. It's genuine questions I have with a little bit of animal danger and all that added in. But it's genuinely like an honor, even like listening to you, learning to you, not just you or any armed forces veteran. I think of all the podcasts that I do, you all have the most wide life in terms of experiences, in terms of going to the depth of life, in terms of coming that close to that level of danger. These kind of perspectives are not there in other professions. So.
Yeah, actually, it's nice that you feel like that about the armed forces per se. But if you ask me very frankly, every profession has got its own high points and low points. Every profession got its own risk. What is the risk for you? What is the risk for the people who work in a company or a multinational or a startup? Their risk factors are different vis-a-vis what risk factor which people in the armed forces do. So while what you say, I totally agree and second it also, but I must also give due to the people who are working. Everybody is working to build a country. So this is my personal views.
Yeah.
Now, since you mentioned about Marine Commando, I thought I must just tell you how Marine Commando is different from other special forces in India.
Sure.
We are actually based on the US Navy SEAL pattern. So training pattern is like them. So our training is the most elaborate and the longest training. Everybody has to be a clearance diver or a diver who is a combat diver. Everybody has to handle IEDs and other things. Then everybody has to be a landlubber, means a commando on land. Then everybody has to be trained in airborne insertion. So this elaborate training doesn't happen in any special force in our country. So that's number one. And why this kind of high intensity training is because of the simple fact that you are working in three mediums, largely two medium, the land and the sea. And the sea is very unforgiving. So you have to train that much more. So that's sort of thing which and because of this and the multi-phase tasking which can come because of the kind of training and skills sets you have actually developed and consolidated over a period of time and been given to you by able instructors, your domain of operation is far and wider. And that's why the equipment level which you've got is far more superior than the equipment level which any other special force has in the country, to my knowledge. Yeah. And my knowledge is very current because I left my last seat as Principal Director Special Operations after 8 years in November 2020.
Wow. While I want to dig 10 more tangents just out of this one paragraph that you've given us, so I have to save content for the Hindi episode as well. That's the honest answer. I would also like to say it's easily one of the best podcasts I've ever had in my life. And you have that much to share. That's how wide your experiences are. So
thanks a lot. You think like that?
Yeah, no. And collectively as a team, we're like deeply grateful. Thank you for your service on behalf of like the entire country and the youth. I know I can speak for them. But one thing I would definitely like to say is the internet needs more of the armed forces. And this episode is one huge step in that direction. People need to know what kind of badasses the Indian armed forces really are. and it's just the beginning. That's
Thanks
what
a
I'll
lot.
say.
And it's my pleasure being in this show. And through this medium, a lot of people can be educated. And obviously, the awareness, even the US had the same problem. There is something called a sea blindness. The US people don't know what is the US Navy doing with they're deployed around the world. So they had a serial called the Patriot, which is shot on board Nimitz. The entire TV crew came on board Nimitz, or not Nimitz, one of the aircraft carriers, nuclear power aircraft carriers, and they stayed on board for 6 months and shot what actually operations happen and how a daily life is on board an aircraft carrier, just to make people realize that what Navy is all about. And if the US Navy, the people don't know about US Navy in their own country, you can imagine what happens in other countries.
Yeah.
So your effort is a very honest and sincere effort towards educating the people about a lot of aspects. And there are wide aspects in the armed forces. And of course, the Marine Commandos are, not only Marine Commandos, other special forces are the best, I would say.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to say that.
So pardon me for not standing, but I salute you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for opening up so much on this episode. Lots more episodes to create with you. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We can do this.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honor speaking with you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. My honor too.
So that was an incredible podcast. I think he is very humble and well-spoken. Again, he's a consummate professional. But I did like that he was able to share a lot of the stories, and he didn't sugarcoat things. I think he was just trying to give us all a better idea of what it's like to be a Marcos and what the training is like and whatnot. He did talk about the USS Nimitz deployment on that show called Patriot, so he is half right. In 2005, the USS Nimitz actually deployed to the Persian Gulf, and a PBS camera crew followed them throughout the deployment and also when they returned. And that was about 10 episodes airing in 2006, I think. But the series is called Carrier. And I think you can probably find it on YouTube or maybe online. I'm not sure. But it was an incredible series, and I certainly learned a lot because I knew nothing about what it was like to be on a carrier. Anyway, I didn't comment a whole lot throughout this episode because of the fact that it was almost exclusively about the Mumbai attacks, and my knowledge about that is about that. So I am glad that I was able to sit down and to listen and to actually learn something from him. My heart does go out to all the victims of that day. Anyway, my utmost respect goes out to all members of the armed forces and all veterans. And if you do want to watch another BeerBiceps podcast reaction, I have one right here. Thanks for watching.